The red sun was dying over New Terra colony. Smoke rose from burning buildings as alien ships filled the dark sky. The Vextai Empire had come to claim another human world. Commander Velthik stood on the colony's main platform. His gray skin was covered in battle scars. His forearms moved as he gave orders to his soldiers. The humans had fought well, but they were weak. All colonies fell the same way. "Sir, we found something," said Captain Bo, or Ram. She was younger than most Vextai officers. Her purple eyes glowed in the dim light. The humans had a breeding facility. Only one survived. Velthik turned his large head. "Show me." Ram led him to a small building. Inside, medical machines beeped quietly. On a white table lay a tiny human baby. The child was maybe days old. His small hands moved in the air. His eyes were closed. "What do we do with it?" Ram asked. Velthik smiled. His teeth were sharp and yellow. "Perfect. The Emperor wants us to send tribute to the Void Dragon." "This will do nicely." Ram stepped back. "Sir, you mean Kethmor? The dragon that destroys entire fleets?" "Yes, the beast grows restless in his cage. A small snack might calm him." Velthik picked up the baby with one hand. The child was so small he fit in the alien's palm. "Prepare the tribute ship." Miles away in the colony's communication center, a woman lay dying. Mi Young had been hit by laser fire. Her blood made red pools on the floor. But she was still alive. She had to be. Her baby was still out there. With shaking hands, she reached for the emergency transmitter. The machine was damaged but still working. She pressed the buttons with weak fingers. The message had to reach Earth. Someone had to know what happened here. "This is New Terra colony," she whispered into the device. Her voice was very quiet. "The Vextai have taken everything. My baby ... my little day ... o ... They have him. Please, someone help him." The transmission shot into space. It would take months to reach Earth. Young closed her eyes and stopped breathing. On Earth, Admiral Taemin was having a normal day in his office. He was reading reports about ship repairs. The coffee on his desk was getting cold. Then the emergency signal came through. The message from Mi Young filled the room. Taemin listened to every word. His hands became fists on his desk. Another colony lost. Another family destroyed. And now they had taken a baby. "Get me the fleet commanders," he said to his assistant. "All of them, now." But Taemin knew the truth. Earth's ships were months away from New Terra. Even if they left today, it would be too late. The baby would be dead long before help arrived. The Vextai tribute ship was small but fast. It carried only Velthik, Ram, and the human baby. Their destination was the Bone Fields, an asteroid belt where the dragon lived. "Sir, why do we keep the dragon?" Ram asked as they flew through space. "It seems dangerous to have such a creature." Velthik laughed. "Dangerous?" "Yes, but useful. Kethmor has won us 100 battles. Entire worlds surrender when they see him coming. The neural implants keep him under control. What if the implants fail? They won't. We've used them for 300 years. The dragon is our weapon." Nothing. More. The asteroid base appeared ahead of them. It was huge, like a small moon made of rock and metal. Gun towers covered its surface. Inside the asteroid, deep tunnels led to the dragon's lair. They landed in the main docking bay. Alien soldiers saluted as they passed. Everyone knew about the tribute mission. Some looked excited. Others seemed afraid. The walk to the dragon's chamber took 20 minutes. The tunnels were dark and cold. Strange sounds echoed from the walls. Ram walked closer to her commander. "The dragon can smell fear," Velthik said. "Try not to show it?" They reached a massive door made of black metal. Ancient symbols covered its surface. 2 guards stood on each side. They wore special armor that protected them from dragon fire. "Open it," Velthik commanded. The door slid open with a deep grinding sound. Hot air rushed out. It smelled like sulfur and old bones. Beyond the door was darkness. They stepped inside. The chamber was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into shadows. Strange blue lights glowed along the walls. And in the center of the room, on a pile of gold and metal, lay the dragon. Kethmor was bigger than their ship. His scales were black as space, his eyes burned red like dying stars. When he breathed, small flames came from his nose. His tail was longer than 3 trains put together. The dragon raised his massive head. His voice was like thunder. "What do you bring me, little aliens?" Velthek stepped forward. In his arms, the human baby made soft crying sounds. "Great Kethmor, we bring tribute from our latest victory. Fresh meat for your hunger." The dragon's eyes focused on the small bundle. He lowered his head until his face was close to Velthek. The heat from his breath made the air shimmer. "A human child," Kethmor said. His voice was softer now. "Very small. Very young. Yes, great one. We thought you might enjoy the taste." Velthek placed the baby on the ground in front of the dragon. The child had stopped crying. His small eyes opened and looked up at the massive creature above him. Something strange happened then. Instead of fear, the baby smiled. His tiny hand reached toward the dragon's snout. He made happy gurgling sounds. Kethmor stared at the child. For a moment he didn't move. His red eyes seemed confused. Then, very slowly, he lowered his head until his snout touched the baby's hand. The child giggled. The sound echoed through the vast chamber. Bio-Ram whispered, "Sir, is this normal?" Velthek frowned. "No, the dragon should have eaten it by now." Kethmor lifted his head. "Leave," he said to the aliens. "Leave the child. Go now. But Great One, go." The command shook the walls. Velthek and Bio-Ram ran from the chamber. The door closed behind them with a loud bang. Inside the lair, Kethmor looked down at the human baby. The child had fallen asleep on the cold stone floor. His small chest moved up and down as he breathed. The dragon had killed thousands. He had burned planets and destroyed fleets. But as he looked at this tiny, helpless creature, something stirred in his ancient heart. Something he had forgotten long ago. Very carefully, Kethmor picked up the baby with one massive claw. The child weighed nothing at all. He placed the baby on the soft furs that covered his sleeping area. The warmth from his body would keep the child alive. "What is your name, little one?" The dragon whispered. But the baby just slept, safe and warm, not knowing that his life had just changed forever. And neither did the dragon know that this moment would change the entire galaxy. Far away on Earth, Admiral Taemin was preparing ships for a rescue mission that would arrive too late. The baby named Deho was already gone from the world of humans, but he was not dead. He was about to begin the most unusual childhood in the history of the universe. 15 years had passed since that strange day in the dragon's lair. The baby named Deho was now a young man. But he was not like other humans. He was taller and stronger than most people his age. His skin was darker from living near dragon fire. His eyes were sharp and quick. Deho sat on a high ledge inside the massive chamber. He was cleaning a weapon he had built from scrap metal. His movements were smooth and careful. Every motion showed years of training. "Again," said the deep voice behind him. Deho turned to face Kethmor. The dragon was even bigger than before. His black scales shined in the blue light. But his red eyes looked at Deho with something like pride. "I did it perfectly last time," Deho said in the dragon's language. His voice was calm and strong. "Perfect is not good enough for battle." Again, Deho smiled. He put down his weapon and stood up. In one quick motion, he jumped from the ledge. He rolled in the air and landed on his feet 20 meters below. Then he ran up the wall using small cracks in the stone. His fingers found holds that seemed impossible to grip. In seconds, he was back on the ledge. He wasn't even breathing hard. Kethmor nodded. "Better. Now tell me about the weak points of a Vextai battle cruiser." "The engine core has 3 backup systems," Deho began. "But if you hit the main power coupling first, the backups overload. The ship dies in 30 seconds. And how do you reach the power coupling? Through the waste disposal system. It's the only part of the ship without shields." The dragon made a sound like laughter. "The Vextai build powerful ships, but they never think someone would crawl through their garbage." Deho grinned. Humans are good at doing things others won't do. Yes, that is why your species survives. They had these lessons every day. Kethmer taught Deho everything he knew about fighting, about ships, about the different alien races. The dragon had lived for over 1,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. All of this knowledge he shared with the human boy, but Deho also taught the dragon things. He showed Kethmer how humans could solve problems in ways no other species thought of, how they could make friends with enemies, how they never gave up, even when everything seemed hopeless. Outside the dragon's lair, things were changing. Captain Bioram was no longer a captain. She was now Commander Bioram. She controlled an entire sector of the Vextai fleet. But she still remembered the strange day when they brought the baby to the dragon. Bioram stood in her ship's command center. Her officers were studying sensor readings from the dragon's asteroid base. The readings were very strange. "Commander, we're seeing energy patterns we don't understand," said her science officer. "They come from the dragon's chamber." Bioram looked at the data. "What kind of energy?" "Unknown. But it's not just dragon fire. There's something else. Something that moves around the chamber." "Moves?" "Yes, Commander, like it's alive." Bioram felt a cold feeling in her chest. "Keep watching. Report any changes immediately." She didn't tell her officers what she was thinking. The human baby should have been dead for 15 years. Dragons didn't keep pets. They ate everything. Living that came near them, but what if something had gone wrong? On Earth, things had changed too. Admiral Taman was older now. His hair was gray and his face had more lines. But his eyes still burned with anger when he thought about the lost colonies. He stood in his office with Dr. Haywan. She was the smartest scientist on Earth. For 15 years, she had worked on new weapons to fight the Vextai Empire. "Show me," Taman said. Dr. Haywan activated a hologram. It showed a new type of ship. The design was sleek and deadly. "We call it the Dragon Hunter class. It's built specifically to kill large creatures. Like their war dragon?" "Exactly." "The weapons can punch through dragon scales. The armor can resist dragon fire. And the speed can match anything the Vextai have." Taman nodded slowly. "How many can we build?" "With current resources, maybe 50 ships in 2 years. Make it 100. And make it 1 year." Dr. Haywan looked surprised. "Sir, that's impossible. We don't have enough materials or workers." "Then get them. Strip every civilian ship if you have to. Take workers from every factory. This is priority 1. "What changed, Admiral? Why the sudden rush?" Taman walked to his window. Outside, Earth's blue ocean sparkled in the sunlight. "I got word from our deep space scouts. The Vextai are moving. Their fleets. Something big is coming. And I think it has to do with that dragon." Back in the asteroid base, Deho was having his evening meal. He ate food that the dragon's servants brought, but he also hunted for himself in the base's lower levels. There were strange creatures living in the tunnels. Catching them was good practice. "Kethmer," he said as he finished eating, "tell me again about your life before the Vextai." The dragon's eyes grew distant. "I was free then. I flew between the stars as I chose. I had no masters. What happened? They captured me during the Battle of 7 Suns. I was young and foolish. I thought I could fight their entire fleet alone." Kethmer touched his head with one claw. "They put metal things in my brain, neural implants. They made me their weapon." Deho stood up. He walked closer to the dragon. "The implants are still there?" "Yes, but they don't work as well as before." "Why not?" Kethmer looked down at the young human. "Because of you, I think. Your presence changed something in my mind. The implants were made to control a creature filled with hate and rage. But I am no longer that creature. What are you now?" "I am a father," the dragon said softly, "and fathers protect their children." Deho felt a warm feeling in his chest. He had never known his real parents, but Kethmer had given him everything a father should. Knowledge, strength, love, and purpose. "The implants," Deho said. "Can they be removed?" "Perhaps, but it would be very dangerous. If something went wrong, I could die." Or you could be. Truly free. Kethmore was quiet for a long moment. Yes, I could be free. That night, Deho couldn't sleep. He lay on his bed of soft furs and thought about freedom. He thought about the galaxy outside the asteroid. He had never seen a real planet. Oh, breath, natural air? All he knew was this chamber and the dragon who raised him. But he also thought about the humans on Earth, his people. He had heard their transmissions sometimes when he hacked into the base's communication systems. They were still fighting the Vextai, still losing colonies, still hoping for a miracle. Maybe he could be that miracle. Deho sat up and looked at Kethmore. The dragon was sleeping, but one red eye opened when he felt the human's gaze. We need to leave this place, Deho sighed quietly. I know, Kethmore replied. I have been thinking the same thing. When? Soon, but first you need to learn one more lesson. What lesson? The dragon's eye glowed brighter in the darkness. How to steal a starship? Outside the asteroid, Commander. BORAM's sensors detected a brief energy spike from the dragon's chamber. But by the time her officers noticed it, the reading was gone. They had no way of knowing that inside the chamber, a human and a dragon were planning the escape that would change the galaxy forever. The real war was about to begin. The escape began at midnight when the base was quiet. Deho had spent weeks studying the guard patterns and security systems. He knew every camera, every sensor, every weak point in the asteroid's defenses. Kethmore lay very still as Deho worked on the neural implants. The young human had built special tools from stolen parts. His hands were steady as he carefully removed the metal devices from the dragon's skull. This will hurt, Deho whispered. I have waited 15 years for this. Pain, Kethmore replied. The first implant came out with a wet click. The dragon's body shook, but he stayed silent. Blue sparks jumped from the device as it died. One by one, Deho removed all 6 implants. When the last one was out, Kethmore opened his eyes. They burned brighter than ever before. I am free, he said. His voice was different now, stronger, more alive. Can you feel the difference? Yes, the fog in my mind is gone. For 300 years I could not think clearly. Now everything is sharp and clean. Kethmore stood up. His massive body filled the chamber. Now we go? They moved through the asteroid's tunnels like ghosts. Deho had learned to walk without sound. Kethmore could make his huge body invisible. In the shadows, they reached the docking bay where the Vextai ships waited. That one. Kethmore pointed to the largest ship. It was a heavy cruiser called the Iron Fist. It has the strongest weapons and the best shields. How do we get past the crew? We go through them. The attack was swift and terrible. Kethmore breathed dragon fire that melted the ship's entrance. Deho moved like lightning, taking down guards before they could raise an alarm. In 10 minutes, the ship was theirs, but their escape had been noticed. Alarms screamed through the base. Emergency lights flashed red. Commander BORAM was awakened in her ship by urgent calls. What is happening? She demanded. The dragon has escaped, her officer reported. He's stolen the Iron Fist. And Commander, there's something else. Our cameras caught a glimpse of someone with him, someone human. Ram felt ice in her veins. The baby, he's alive. The Iron Fist blasted out of the docking bay. Kethmore was too large to fit in the pilot's seat, so Deho flew the ship. His hands moved over the controls like he had been born to it. The dragon had taught him well. Behind them, Vextai fighters gave chase. Their weapons lit up space with deadly beams. But the Iron Fist was fast and well armed. Deho spun the ship, threw impossible turns while Kethmore used the rear guns to destroy their enemies. Where do we go now? Deho asked as they escaped into open space. To the prison worlds. There are others like me, creatures the Vextai have enslaved. We will free them all. Their first stop was Corvex Prime, a mining planet where the Vextai kept captured beings from dozens of species. The planet was heavily guarded, but the Iron Fist was a Vextai ship. The guards let them land without question. That was their mistake. Kethmore and Deho fought their way through the prison complex. They freed hundreds of enslaved creatures. giant rock beings called Throners, flying serpents from the gas worlds. Even some humans who had been captured years before. One of the humans was a scientist named Sojin. She had been taken from a research station 5 years ago. She was thin and scarred, but her mind was still sharp. "Who are you?" she asked Deho as they escaped the planet. "My name is Deho. I was raised by Kethmar." Sojin stared at him. "You're human, but you speak like them. How is this possible?" "Long story. Right now, we need to focus on staying alive." Word of their escape spread through the Vextai Empire like wildfire. Emperor Nextar himself called an emergency meeting of his war council. How did this happen? The Emperor demanded. He was ancient and powerful, with skin like black metal and eyes like burning coals. "How did our most valuable weapon turn against us?" "The human, your majesty," said General Thokvar. "Somehow the human child corrupted the dragon's mind." "Impossible. Humans are weak. They have no mental powers." "Perhaps not mental powers, your majesty. But they have something else. They make bonds with other species. They change those around them." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "Find them. Kill them both. I don't care how many ships it takes." On Earth, the news arrived like a thunderbolt. Admiral Taman read the report 3 times before he believed it. "A human survivor from New Terra is alive," he told Dr. Haywan. "And he's fighting alongside the dragon that terrorized our colonies." "That makes no sense." "Why would a dragon help a human?" "I don't know. But our deep space scouts confirm it. They're liberating prison worlds, freeing enslaved species, building some kind of rebellion." Dr. Haywan looked at the star charts. "If this human really survived 15 years with the dragon, he must know things about the Vextai that we don't. Their weaknesses. Their technology. Exactly what I was thinking. Prepare the fleet. We're going to find this Deho and bring him home." But Deho had no intention of going home. Not yet. He stood on the bridge of the Iron Fist as it traveled through hyperspace. Around him, freed prisoners worked to repair and upgrade the ship. Sojin had proven especially helpful with the technology. "The Vextai are sending everything they have after us," she reported. 3 full battle fleets. "Good," Kethmar said from behind them. The dragon had to coil his body to fit on the bridge. "Let them come. I have been their weapon for too long. Now they will learn what it means to face me as an enemy." Deho looked at the stars racing past. He thought about his mother, who had died trying to save him. He thought about all the humans on all the colonies who had suffered under Vextai rule. "We need more ships," he said, "more allies." "The Kovani have 30 warships hidden in the Void Nebula," Kethmar said. "They have been planning their own rebellion for years. They will join us if we prove we can win battles. Then we give them proof." The Battle of Crimson Station happened 3 days later. The Vextai had a major supply depot there, guarded by 50 ships. Deho led a fleet of 20 liberated vessels against them. The battle was fierce and desperate. Deho used every trick Kethmar had taught him. He split his forces and attacked from multiple directions. He used the station's own weapons against the defenders. And when the fighting was thickest, Kethmar himself flew into battle. The sight of the free dragon was terrifying to the Vextai. For 300 years they had commanded Kethmar. Now he fought against them with all his rage and power. Enemy! Ships burned like candles in his fire. When the battle ended, the supply depot was in ruins. The Vextai fleet was destroyed. And across the galaxy, enslaved species heard the news and began to hope. In his palace, Emperor Nextar received the reports with growing fury. His most trusted weapon had become his greatest enemy. And leading that weapon was a human who should have died as a baby. "Prepare the Dragon Killer virus," he ordered his scientists. "If we cannot recapture Kethmar, we will destroy him and every other dragon in the galaxy." The real war was about to begin, and at its center was a human raised by a dragon, fighting to free a galaxy that had never known hope. But hope was what humans did best. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Crimson Station. The rebellion was growing stronger every day. Daeho now commanded over 200 ships from dozens of different species. His fleet was called the Free Sky Alliance, the war room aboard. The Iron Fist was always busy. Daeho stood over a large hologram that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked Vextai strongholds. Blue dots showed liberated worlds. The blue was spreading, but so was the red. The Vextai were fighting back hard. "Intelligence reports from Sector 7, said Commander Rakhtar. "A freed Throner whose stone skin was covered in battle scars. The Vextai are moving their main fleet toward our position." Sojin looked up from her computer station. "How many ships?" 800. "Maybe more." Daeho felt the weight of command on his shoulders. He was only 20 years old, but thousands of beings looked to him for leadership. The dragon had taught him strategy and tactics, but this was bigger than anything he had imagined. "We can't fight that many ships in open battle," he said. "We need a different approach." Kethmar's massive head appeared near the hologram. "What do you suggest, little general?" "We split up. Hit multiple targets at once. Force them to divide their fleet. Risky. If they catch any of our groups alone, they'll be destroyed. Then we don't get caught." The plan was complex and dangerous. Daeho would take 50 ships to attack the prison world of Vexthara. Kethmar would lead another group to destroy the weapons factories on Corvex Major. The remaining ships would hit supply convoys throughout the sector, but as they prepared to leave, urgent messages came from the Outer Rim. Human colonies were under attack. The Vextai were taking revenge for the rebellion by hitting Earth settlements. Admiral Taemin's voice came through on the emergency channel. "This is Earth Defense Fleet to unknown rebel forces. We're tracking your ship signatures. One of you is human. We request immediate assistance." Daeho stared at the communication screen. This was the first time he had heard another human voice in years. Besides Sojin, the Admiral sounded tired and desperate. "Should we answer?" Sojin asked. "Not yet. First we save the colonies, then we talk." The Battle of the Crimson Nebula became legend throughout the galaxy. Daeho arrived just as 3 human colonies were about to fall to Vextai assault fleets. The refugees were trying to escape in civilian ships, but enemy fighters were hunting them down. Daeho faced an impossible choice. He could save the refugees or help Kethmar with his mission, but not both. His forces weren't strong enough to split again. "Take half the fleet to help Kethmar," he told Commander Rakhtar. "I'll handle the rescue." "Sir, you'll be outnumbered." 10-1. "Then I'd better be creative." What happened next showed why humans were different from other species. Instead of choosing one mission, Daeho found a way to do both. He used the nebula's gas clouds to hide his ships. He set up a communication relay that let him coordinate with both battles at once. And he turned the civilian ships into weapons. "Attention all refugee vessels," he broadcast. "This is Daeho of the Free Sky Alliance. Ram your ships into enemy fighters. Your sacrifice will save thousands." The human civilians didn't hesitate. They turned their unarmed ships into missiles. Mothers and fathers and children died so that others could live. It was the most human thing possible, choosing hope over survival. The Vextai were so shocked by this tactic that their formation broke apart. In that moment of confusion, Daeho's warships struck from the nebula clouds. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes. At the same time, messages from Kethmar showed his mission was succeeding. The weapons factories were burning, but the dragon was hurt. Vextai scientists had created new weapons designed to kill dragons. Admiral Taemin arrived with the Earth Defense Fleet just as the battle ended. His ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but they moved with purpose and skill. Human crews were among the best in the galaxy. Taemin requested a meeting aboard his flagship. Daeho agreed, but he brought Kethmar with him. The dragon had to stay in the docking bay because he was too big for the ship's corridors. The admiral was older than Daeho had expected. His hair was gray and his face was lined with worry, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. "You're the baby from New Terra," Taemin said. "It wasn't a question. I am. How did you survive? How did you learn to fight like this?" Deho looked toward the docking bay where Kethmer waited. I had a good teacher, the dragon. The same one that destroyed our colonies. He was enslaved. Then he's free now. And he's my father in every way that matters. Taemin was quiet for a long moment. General Hyanwu wants to arrest you as a traitor. You're fighting alongside our enemies. I'm fighting against slavery. Against an empire that kills innocent people. If that makes me a traitor, so be it. And what do you want from us? Help. The Vextai are building something new. Something that can kill dragons. If they succeed, this rebellion dies. Taemin walked to the window that looked out at space. The Free Sky Alliance fleet floated nearby. Ships from dozens of species worked together with human vessels. It was something he had never imagined possible. What kind of help? Ships, weapons, soldiers. The Vextai Empire has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. It's time for that too. And if we help you, what guarantee do we have that you won't turn on us when the war is over? Deho smiled. You have the word of someone raised by a dragon, and the word of the dragon himself. As if summoned, Kethmer's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. Admiral Taemin of Earth, I have spent 15 years learning about humans through this one young man. Your species fascinates me. You are small and weak, but you never give up. You make friends of enemies. You choose hope when logic says there is none. And what does that mean for us? Taemin asked. It means that when this war is over, humans will be the bridge between species. You will build the peace that follows the victory, because that is what humans do. The alliance between Earth and the Free Sky rebels changed everything. Human ships brought advanced technology and battle-tested crews. Alien vessels provided raw firepower and knowledge of Vextai weaknesses, but Emperor Nextar was not sitting idle. In his secret laboratories, scientists worked day and night on the dragon killer virus. It was designed to target dragon physiology specifically. One exposure would mean certain death. General Hyanwu of Earth Command remained suspicious of the alliance. We're trusting aliens who were our enemies yesterday, he told Admiral Taemin. This could be a trap. Maybe, but look at the results. We've liberated more worlds in 6 months than we managed in 10 years of war. Because we're following the lead of a human raised by monsters. No, we're following the lead of a human who learned that monsters are just another kind of people. The war was reaching its peak. The Vextai had assembled their largest fleet ever, determined to crush the rebellion once and for all. But the Free Sky Alliance had something the Empire didn't understand. They had hope. And they had a human who thought like a dragon, and a dragon who had learned to love like a human. The final battles were coming. And the galaxy would never be the same. The virus hit without warning. One moment, Kethmer was flying alongside the fleet, his massive wings cutting through the void of space. The next moment he was falling, his body convulsing as the dragon killer poison spread through his blood. Deho watched in horror from the Iron Fist bridge as his father crashed onto the hull of a nearby ship. The dragon's fire flickered and died, his great wings folded against his sides. Medical teams to Docking Bay 7, Deho shouted into his communicator. Now, but even as the doctors worked, everyone could see the truth. Kethmer was dying, his black scales were turning gray. His breathing was slow and painful. The virus was designed perfectly. It attacked every system that kept dragons alive. How long does he have? Deho asked Dr. Villanara, the fleet's chief. Medical officer? Days, maybe less. I'm sorry, Commander. I've never seen anything like this. Sojin looked up from her computer station. Her fingers were flying over the keys as she analyzed the virus. It's incredibly advanced. The Vextai must have spent years developing it. Can you cure it? Not with what we have here. We'd need access to their original research. The lab where they created it. Deho felt ice in his chest. Where is that lab? According to our intelligence, the Vextai homeworld. The capital city of Nextara. Admiral Taemin's voice came over the communication system. Deho, we just intercepted Vextai transmissions. Emperor Nextar has released the virus on 3 other dragon worlds. Hundreds of dragons are dying. The war room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The Emperor wasn't just trying to kill Kethmer. He was committing genocide against an entire species. We have to stop him, Deho said quietly. The homeworld is protected by their entire remaining fleet, Commander Rakhtar pointed out. Over 1,000 ships. And the planet itself has defense systems that could destroy anything that gets close. Then we'll have to be smarter than their defenses. General Hyanwu's face appeared on the main screen. He was calling from his command ship in the Earth fleet. This is suicide, boy. You're talking about attacking the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. I'm talking about saving my father. And every other dragon that's still alive. One dragon isn't worth the entire rebellion. Deho's eyes blazed with anger. That dragon saved me when I was a baby. He raised me. He taught me everything I know. He's the reason we've won every battle so far. And he's not just one dragon, he's family. The word hung in the air, family. It was such a simple human concept, but it changed everything. Kethmer wasn't just a weapon or an ally. He was Deho's father in every way that mattered. Sojin stepped forward. I can create a cure, but I need the original virus samples and the research data. They'll be in the Emperor's personal laboratory. How do we get there? We don't fight our way in, we sneak in. The plan was insane and desperate. While the main fleet kept the Vextai forces busy with attacks on outer colonies, a small team would infiltrate the homeworld. Deho, Sojin, and a handful of volunteers would steal a Vextai transport ship and pose as prisoners being delivered to the Emperor. Admiral Taemin objected strongly. You're needed here, leading the fleet. Send someone else. No one else knows Vextai security systems like I do. Kethmer taught me their protocols for 15 years. And if you die? Then Commander Rakhtar takes over, he's ready? But Deho knew the truth. If he died, the rebellion would probably fail. He was the bridge between species, the one being everyone trusted. Without him, the alliance would fall apart. He went to see Kethmer before leaving. The dragon lay in the medical bay, his great body stretched across multiple rooms. Machines beeped softly as they monitored his failing health. Little General, Kethmer whispered. His voice was weak but still warm. You should not risk everything for me. You risked everything for me when I was a baby. You could have eaten me like they wanted. Instead, you became my father. I did not know what a father was until I met you. Humans taught me about love. Then let me save you, like you saved me. Kethmar's red eyes focused on Deho's face. If I die, promise me something. You're not going to die. Promise me you will not let hatred control you. The Vextai enslaved me, but I do not hate them anymore. Hatred is what made them weak. Love is what makes humans strong. I promise. The infiltration mission began 3 days later. Deho and his team flew a captured Vextai transport toward the homeworld. They had forged documents claiming to be delivering important prisoners to the Emperor. The planet Nexthara was beautiful and terrible. Its surface was covered in black crystal cities that rose like mountains into the sky. Rivers of molten metal flowed between the buildings. The air glowed with the light of artificial suns. Security checkpoint ahead, Sojin reported from the pilot's seat. Remember, we're Vextai soldiers. Stay calm. The checkpoint officer was suspicious, but not enough to stop them. Their fake documents were perfect copies. Within an hour, they were landing at the Imperial Palace. The palace was enormous, bigger than most cities. Its walls were made of the same black crystal as the rest of the planet. Guard towers stretched up into the clouds. And at its center was the Emperor's personal laboratory. Getting inside required all of Deho's skills. He moved through the palace like a shadow, avoiding guards and security cameras. The dragon's training had made him nearly invisible when he wanted to be. The laboratory was a vast chamber filled with strange machines and bubbling tanks of chemicals. At its center sat Emperor Nextar himself, watching data streams on dozens of screens. The dragon genocide proceeds on schedule, he was telling his scientists. How many have died so far? 300 confirmed, Your Majesty. The virus is spreading faster than expected. Deho felt rage building in his chest. 300 dragons, Kethmar's people. His people now, but he remembered his promise. No hatred. He would stop the Emperor, but he wouldn't become him. The battle in the laboratory was brief but violent. Deho had surprise on his side, and years of dragon training had made him incredibly fast. The Emperor was old and relied on his guards for protection when the fighting ended. Nextar lay on the floor, defeated but not dead. Sojin was already downloading the virus research and creating a cure. Why? The Emperor gasped. You are human. We never harmed your homeworld. You harmed my father. You enslaved him for 300 years. And you're trying to wipe out his species. He is not your father. He is a beast. No, Deho said quietly. He's the most human being I've ever known. The cure worked perfectly. Within hours of returning to the fleet, Kethmar's color began to return. His breathing became stronger. The virus died in his blood as Sojin's antidote spread through his system. How do you feel? Deho asked. Like I want to burn down the rest of their empire, Kethmar replied, then he paused. But I won't. Hatred is their weakness, not ours. Good, because we have work to do. The antidote was distributed to every dragon world still infected by the virus. Thousands of dragons were saved. The genocide stopped. And across the galaxy, the Vextai Empire began to crumble. Emperor Nextar was a prisoner aboard the Iron Fist. His capture had broken the will of his remaining forces. Worlds that had served the Empire for centuries suddenly declared their independence. What do we do with him? Admiral Taemin asked. We let him live, Deho said. And we let him see what the galaxy becomes without his empire. The final victory was won not with weapons but with words. The Free Sky Alliance offered amnesty to any Vextai who laid down their weapons. Most of them accepted. They were tired of war and ready for peace, but peace would not be easy to build. And Deho was about to discover that winning a war was much simpler than winning the peace that followed. 1 year had passed since the fall of the Vextai Empire. Deho stood on the observation deck of New Terra Station, watching ships from a dozen different species work together to build humanity's first interstellar trading post. The station floated in orbit around the world where he had been born 21 years ago. The planet below was green again. Human colonists had returned to rebuild their homes, but they were not alone. Freed Throners helped with construction. Corvani engineers designed new cities. Even some former Vextai had joined the rebuilding effort. Hard to believe, isn't it? Sojin said as she joined him at the window. She was wearing the blue uniform of the new Galactic Cooperation Council. A year ago, we were rebels hiding in asteroid belts. Now we're building a new government. The hard part isn't over yet, Deho replied. Wars are easier than peace. In war, you know who the enemy is. He was right to be concerned. The galaxy was free from the Vextai Empire, but freedom brought new problems. Different species had different ideas about how things should work. Some wanted democracy. Others preferred tribal councils. A few believed in rule by the strongest. The Galactic Cooperation Council met every day in the station's main chamber. Representatives from 200 worlds gathered to argue about laws and trade agreements and territorial boundaries. Deho served as the mediator, the one person everyone trusted to be fair. The Corvani delegation is complaining again, Sojin reported. They say the humans get too many votes for such a young species. What do the humans say? Admiral Taemin thinks we should get more votes because we did most of the fighting, Deho sighed. Schedule a meeting with both groups. Together, they can work it out. That was his gift, learned from 15 years with a dragon. He could see all sides of a problem and find solutions that seemed impossible. Humans called it wisdom. Aliens had other names for it. But everyone respected it. Kethmar rarely attended the council meetings. The dragon was too large for the station's corridors, and his presence made some delegates nervous. Instead, he spent his time exploring the outer regions of the galaxy, mapping new star systems and making contact with isolated worlds, but today was different. Today he was returning to New Terra Station with news. Day-Ho met him in the special docking bay built to accommodate dragon-sized visitors. Kethmar looked healthier than ever. His black scales gleamed with starlight. His red eyes burned with curiosity and joy. "What did you find out there?" Deho asked. "Wonders beyond counting. Systems where crystal beings sing to their suns. Worlds where living storms dance in the atmosphere. And something else." "What?" "A distress call from beyond the galactic rim." Deho felt his pulse quicken. The galactic rim was the edge of known space. Nothing lived out there but dark matter and dying stars. Who sent it? Unknown. The signal is too weak to decode fully. But it's definitely artificial. Someone is alive out there. Someone who needs help. That evening, Deho called a special session of the council. The great chamber buzzed with excitement as he shared the news. A new species beyond the galaxy's edge. First contact with beings from another part of the universe. "We should send a diplomatic mission," suggested Dr. Hayone. She had left her weapons research behind and now worked on peaceful technology. A small fleet with scientists and translators. "Too dangerous," argued General Hyanwu. "We don't know what's out there. Could be another empire like the Vextai. Or it could be people who need our help," Deho said quietly. "Isn't that what we're supposed to do now? Help those who can't help themselves?" The vote was close, but the mission was approved. A fleet of 50 ships would travel beyond the galactic rim to investigate the signal. They would carry diplomats, scientists, doctors, and engineers. Everything needed for first contact or rescue operations. Admiral Temin volunteered to lead the Earth contingent. Commander Rakhtar would bring Throner heavy cruisers. Sojin would head the science team. And Kethmar would scout ahead, using his speed to survey the unknown regions. "What about you?" Admiral Temin asked Deho. "The Council needs its mediator. Here, the Council is strong enough to function without me for a while. Besides, this is exactly the kind of mission that needs someone who speaks all languages and thinks differently." "You mean someone raised by a dragon?" "I mean someone who learned that family doesn't depend on species. That love is stronger than fear. That hope can survive anywhere." The fleet prepared for departure over the next month. The ship Deho chose was called the New Terra's Memory, a fast cruiser built with technology from a dozen different species. Its crew was equally mixed: humans, Throners, Corvani, even some reformed Vextai. On the night before departure, Deho walked through New Terra Station one last time. He visited the memorial wall where the names of everyone who died in the war were written in light. His mother's name was there, Mi Young of New Terra Colony. "I wish you could see what we built," he whispered to her memory. "It's not perfect, but it's better than what came before." Kethmar found him there an hour later. The dragon had to coil his body to fit in the memorial chamber, but his presence was comforting rather than frightening. "Second thoughts?" The dragon asked. "No, just remembering. She died to save me, and I never even knew her. You know her through what you've become. A mother's love shapes her child even across the years. Is that what happened with us? Did your love shape me?" "We shaped each other, little general. That is what families do." The departure ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Beings from hundreds of worlds watched as the exploration fleet prepared to leave known space. It was the first purely peaceful mission in galactic history, not conquest or trade, but simple curiosity and the desire to help. Emperor Nextar watched from his comfortable prison cell aboard New Terra Station. He had been offered the chance to return to his homeworld, but had chosen to stay and observe the new galaxy taking shape. "They will fail," he told his guard, a young human named Jinho. "The universe is hostile and cruel. Their optimism will get them killed." "Maybe," Jinho replied, "but at least they'll die trying to help someone." "What were you doing when your empire fell?" Nextar had no answer to that. The New Terra's Memory was the last ship to leave the fleet formation. Deho stood on the bridge, watching the spiral arms of their home galaxy shrink behind them. Ahead lay the darkness between galaxies, vast and unknown. "Navigation reports will reach the signal source in 6 weeks, Sojin announced. "Any idea what we'll find?" "None, but that's what makes it exciting. Kethmar's voice came through the ship's communication system. He was flying alongside them, his wings spread wide to catch the solar wind. Whatever we find out there, we'll face it together. Together, Deho agreed. As they flew into the unknown, the fleet received one final transmission from New Terra Station. It was a message from the Galactic Cooperation Council, signed by representatives of every member species. To the crew of the Deep Space Mission, you carry with you the hopes and dreams of 200 worlds. You are explorers, scientists, diplomats, and peacekeepers. But most importantly, you are proof that different species can work together toward common goals. Whatever challenges await in the darkness, remember that you are never alone. The galaxy stands behind you. Safe travels, and may you find wonders beyond imagining. The transmission ended, leaving the fleet alone in the vast emptiness between galaxies, but they were not truly alone. They had each other, and they had something the old empire never possessed: the certainty that they were doing the right thing. 3 weeks into their journey, they encountered their first obstacle. A massive field of dark matter blocked their path, creating gravitational storms that could tear ships apart. The fleet stopped to consider their options. We could go around, Admiral Taman suggested during the command meeting. Add 2 weeks to our journey, but stay safe. The distress signal is getting weaker, Sojin reported. If we delay too long, we might lose it entirely. Deho studied the sensor readings. The dark matter field stretched for light years in every direction. Going around would indeed take weeks. But going through seemed impossible. Kethmar, what do your senses tell you? The dragon's voice was thoughtful. The field is not natural. Something created this barrier. Something that doesn't want visitors. Or something that wants to protect what's inside, Deho countered. Maybe the distress signal is coming from beings trapped behind this field. It was Commander Rakhtar who suggested the solution. My people are miners. We know how to break through barriers. If we work together, we can punch a hole through the field just wide enough for the fleet to pass. The operation took 6 hours. Throner ships used their mining beams to weaken the dark matter. Human vessels provided precise targeting. Kovani. Engineers calculated the exact point where the field was weakest, and Kethmar used his dragonfire to burn through the final barrier. When the hole opened, they saw something incredible on the other side. A small galaxy, much younger than their own, filled with bright new stars and worlds that glowed with possibility. It's beautiful, Sojin whispered. And it's in trouble, Deho added. The distress signal was coming from the galaxy's center, where something dark was consuming the light of stars. Through their telescopes, they could see entire solar systems going dark one by one. It's some kind of weapon, Dr. Haywan reported. From the science ship, or maybe a living creature. It's feeding on stellar energy. The fleet moved deeper into the small galaxy, following the distress signal toward its source. Along the way, they found evidence of civilization, abandoned space stations, derelict ships, the remains of worlds that had once been home to billions of beings. They're all dead, Admiral Taman said grimly as they passed through a graveyard of ships. Whatever sent that signal, we might be too late to help, but Deho refused to give up hope. The signal is still transmitting. Someone is still alive. They found the source on a tiny planet orbiting the last functioning star in the galaxy's core. The planet was protected by energy shields that had kept the Star Eater at bay, but the shields were failing. This is the planet New Hope calling. Any vessels in range, came the transmission. We are the last survivors of the Andorian Federation. Our shields will fail in 12 hours. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need immediate evacuation. The voice was young and desperate. It reminded Deho of his own mother's final transmission from New Terra Colony so many years ago. This is Deho of the Galactic Cooperation. Council, he broadcast back. We're here to help. How many people need evacuation? Thank the stars, came the reply. This is Captain Nera of the Andorian Defense Force. We have 50,000 civilians in underground shelters. But our ships were destroyed weeks ago. 50,000 people. The fleet could carry them all, but it would be a tight fit, and they would have to work fast. The Star Eater was already moving toward the planet, drawn by the energy of the failing shields. "Begin evacuation immediately," Deho ordered. "All ships, prepare to receive refugees." The next few hours were chaos. Shuttle after shuttle launched from the planet's surface, carrying scared but grateful Andorians to safety. The beings looked almost human, but with silver skin and large dark eyes. They had been fighting the Star Eater for months, watching helplessly as their entire civilization was consumed. Captain Nara was the last person to leave the planet. She was young, maybe Deho's age, with the bearing of someone who had seen too much war. "Why did you come?" she asked as her shuttle docked with the new Terra's memory. "We're strangers to you. Our galaxy is already lost." "Because someone needed help?" Deho replied simply. "That's what we do now." As the last shuttle cleared the planet's surface, the shields finally failed. The Star Eater descended like a black cloud, absorbing the planet's energy and leaving nothing but cosmic dust behind. But 50,000 Andorians were safe aboard the fleet. They had homes now and hope for the future. The journey back to their own galaxy took longer because of the refugees, but no one complained. The Andorians shared their knowledge freely, teaching the fleet about technologies and discoveries from their lost civilization. In return, the Council species offered them worlds to settle and the chance to rebuild their society. "You could have left us to die," Captain Nara told Deho as they approached the galactic rim. "Why didn't you?" "Because I was once in the same situation. A baby about to be killed by aliens who saw me as worthless. Someone chose to save me instead. Someone chose love over hatred, hope over despair. The dragon? Yes, he taught me that. Family isn't about blood or species. It's about choosing to care for each other." When the fleet returned to New Terra Station, they were welcomed as heroes. But Deho knew the real victory wasn't the rescue mission, it was what came after. The Andorians integrated smoothly into galactic society. Their knowledge helped advance medicine and technology. Their art and music enriched cultural exchanges. Within months, it was hard to imagine the galaxy without them. Kethmer chose to remain at New Terra Station for a while, serving as an unofficial advisor to the Council. But Deho could see the wanderlust in his father's eyes. "There are other galaxies out there," the dragon said one evening as they watched. "The stars, other species that might need help." "I know." "Are you thinking of leaving?" Are we thinking of leaving?" "I taught you everything I know, little general. But there's still more to learn out there." Deho smiled. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow, if you're ready." The departure this time was quieter. No ceremonies or broadcasts. Just a human and a dragon saying goodbye to friends before heading into the unknown once more. The New Terra's memory had been upgraded with new technology learned from the Andorians. Its crew was smaller, but more experienced. And its mission was simpler: to explore, to learn, and to help anyone who needed it. As they flew away from the galaxy that had become their home, Deho thought about the journey that had brought him here. From a helpless baby offered to a dragon to a young man who had helped reshape the galaxy. "What are you thinking about?" Kethmer asked. "My mother, how she died trying to save me. How you chose to raise me instead of eating me. How the choices we make ripple outward to touch lives we'll never know." "And what have you learned from all of this?" Deho looked out at the stars stretching endlessly in all directions. "That the universe is vast and strange and sometimes cruel, but it's also full of wonder and hope and love. And that makes all the difference." The New Terra's memory flew on into the darkness between galaxies, carrying with it the proof that different species could work together, that family was a choice rather than an accident of birth, and that hope could survive anywhere, even in the heart of a dragon who had learned to love a human child. Behind them, the galaxy they had helped to free continued its work of building a better future. Ahead of them lay infinite possibilities, and the certainty that wherever they went, they would make things better simply by choosing to care. The stars welcomed them home. Chat controls Sonnet 4.